Alright, ladies, here's the deal. We need a new Star Wars game to keep that PlayStation alive.
Terrace Costy 2, a very costly sequel.
Greedo, the game.
No and no.
Moisture Farm Simulator.
Pocket Tauntauns.
What if like a Rancor and Boba Fett, like, you know, and you know, like they smashed.
I like it. I'll give you $20 for it on my desk by Tuesday.
Woo! Yeah. Wait.
20 bucks?
To whom it may concern, encloses a copy of the new game Star Wars Demolition from LucasArts. Because you and your coworkers are world-renowned Star Wars fan, we wanted to get your opinion before we released it. Please give us a call when you play it at 1-800-RICOLIE. Thank you for your time and commitment to the Star Wars galaxy. Sincerely, the LucasArts team. Oh, cool. PS1? I didn't know that they still made things for this.
Special shout out to LucasArts for sending us an early copy of this game. If you're a developer out there and you have a new game you want us to take a look at, we'd be happy to review it.
Alright, we're off to a good start. Every Star Wars game needs a good crawl. This looks, a little gross. Why does this have a throbbing club remix of a Star Wars song underneath? Where am I? A dance club in 2001? There's no story mode here either, which surprises me considering we were given a crawl. So I guess I'll just start with battle mode.
Holy hammerhead, is that supposed to be Jabba?
What?
That's racist. You can't say that.
Man, we here at 1117 Studios would like to apologize to our Ithorian viewers. You are a vital member of our community and our audience. Thank you.
I don't know if you've noticed, but everything in this game looks really bad. Like, all of the faces are completely wrong. Is making every character look like their face is carved from wax a stylistic choice? Also, why is the draw distance so bad? Is it because the Empire doesn't have universal healthcare so nobody can go to the optometrist? Or is it because of the technical limitations of the console? See, it's strange. From what I've seen of the Dreamcast version, the draw distance is better and there isn't that weird shimmer around everything, but that's also on a console that's 4 years newer. It's perhaps the most apparent issue Demolition has, and what would prevent modern audiences from enjoying it.
We have a level select here, but I can't help but notice something. All of these planets are in the movies.
I mean, other than the ones that specifically tie into a film, I can't think of a Star Wars game that doesn't have at least a single location that's either original or from the expanded universe. That does make it easier for someone who's only familiar with the main saga still feel at home though. Also, considering there's barely a story other than this takes place somewhere between Empire and Jedi, I think it's good to not just throw in some random planet for no reason.
And I mean, the level design isn't too bad. There's quite a lot going on in each one. Even ones that could have been boring, like Naboo, have cool things like this fully functioning chess set.
Knight to Rook 7.
Bishop to Queen. Checkmate.
Quality game, chap.
As with all games, there are levels that are obvious studs. I mean, I can't help but feel like Dagobah is a little empty and Yavin is a little small, but each one has their own little quirks that makes them feel noticeably different.
Character selection, on the other hand, leaves a lot to be desired. I can't help but feel like the development team only had a handful of licensed characters.
How about Luke?
Nope.
Han?
Absolutely not.
Leia?
Only if she's in the bounty hunter costume.
Who can we have?
Maliki,
Who?
the Rancor Keeper.
Oh.
Now, I'm what you call a sane and rational individual, and like all sane and rational individuals, I believe that Boba Fett is the most badass character in Star Wars history. And if you disagree with me, you can go stand in the corner and think about what you've done. I'm talking to you. So naturally, Boba Fett was my first choice. On second thought, maybe let's try something else. Wait, what the hell?
What's with all these weird knockoff characters? I mean, at least Ara Singh is here. You know, Ara Singh. She played a big part in Phantom Menace. Remember? Here, let me show you. Shit, come on guys, you blinked. Here, I'll play it again. Good thing she made the cut, right? I get that it's supposed to be between Empire and Jedi, but there's not like any canonical implications here. It's an arcade-style driving game. If we can have Darth Maul as an unlockable character, Luke, Han, and whoever else can be here as well. It's weird how selective it's being with canon because there's almost no story here, yet it's trying to have some semblance of narrative consistency.
And while we're talking about characters and story, when you either win or lose a tournament, you get a cutscene that's specific to each character.
Again, which is strange because it acts like the end to one of these characters' arcs without actually giving a start point. They usually range from 10 seconds to around a minute, and while they look a little weird and don't really say a whole lot, I can't help but feel like they were part of a larger story that was maybe lost in development. But while poking around, I can't really find anything about that. They remind me of victory animations that are seen in some fighting games, and sort of like a reward for winning something. I don't know, if my choices were to have a story or have these, I'd choose story any day of the week, and I don't think that's a minority opinion. I think that really captures what's wrong with Demolition. There's really no substance, just a bunch of sort of half thought out thoughts and loosely connected ideas that don't really do anything together. I feel like maybe I'm missing the story, like this is a shitty port and that there's a full game on a better console that fixes all of these problems. But there's not. This is a full game, and frankly a bad one.
I'm sorry, I don't like being negative, especially when it comes to Star Wars game, but there's something seriously wrong here.
Like, while we've been sitting here playing it, we got stuck in a gameplay loop that has taken over 40 minutes. In the last stage of a tournament, both our racer and the last competitor were forced to do quick passes at each other and then wait for our weapon energy to reload and fire off again. It became consistently the only way to really make any progress, and only by a fluke accident the AI made were we able to win. And at first we thought that this was an isolated incident, instead it became a more and more frequent thing. The more the game was played, the more it happened. Even when trying different play styles, characters, and arenas, often the 5-person deathmatch would always devolve into that. I've made the comparison between this and fighting games, with the majority of good fighting games encourage a variety of playstyles. Demolition seems to bottleneck you into a single one. By forcing you to do one thing in the final match, it makes your specific playstyle irrelevant, and instead teaches you that this is the only quote-unquote right way to play the game. This problem is certainly lessened in other play modes and even in death matches that only have 1 or 2 enemies, but where your in-game skills are meant to be put at their biggest test, there's only one proper way to play.
Which frankly doesn't encourage fun or replayability.
I can't help but feel like maybe, just maybe, this game was specifically designed for 10-year-old birthday parties. Like, by having very little thought and fairly simple controls and potentially long playtime, I can't help but feel like it lends itself to being played at 4 in the morning while eating pizza and talking about Boy Scouts, or dog sledding, or poking dead things with sticks.
I don't know, I think go to a lot of sleepovers.
Its simplicity lends itself well to that specific setting. Like, if you saw this in a blockbuster, sure, it'd be great for a Friday night, but it's impossible to be taken seriously. And I know what you're saying. Well, it's a game about crashing Star Wars vehicles together. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But didn't a developer spend countless hours on this? Just because the concept is silly doesn't mean it shouldn't be taken seriously. I just wish that if someone was going to take the time to develop this, why couldn't they take the time and have something good? It feels like a cash grab, a lame attempt to shake a little cash out of Star Wars fans, kids in particular, who are still on that sweet, sweet Phantom Menace hype train.
And really, on a bad day, I don't think I can come up with a worse Star Wars game.
Well, what would you have done differently?
Is make a good game a satisfactory answer?
No, I kind of actually liked it, you know? It's not a masterpiece, but it's not the worst Star Wars game I've ever played.
When it comes to Star Wars, I tend to stick to the films and a few games. I feel that a lot of this additional content isn't always what I want. I don't really want to see Star Wars dive into the fantasy elements, so I stay away from the comics. I don't really want to see more about the relationship between Han and Leia, so I don't read the books. And I don't really care about the parts in between the prequels, which is why I don't watch the TV shows. Except for the original Clone Wars, because really that's the only good thing to come from those films. So what do I want? Well, I just want something that's close to the movies. I want a chance to explore the places I've seen. In my opinion, the best game to do this is the original Battlefront, and to a much lesser extent, Demolition does this as well. I think that seeing all these odd set pieces strewn around a large map gives me a neat feeling of exploration. While none of these maps are accurate to the films, I still think driving around them is fun. I think if the mechanics were more intently refined, this would be a more enjoyable time. It's not without flaws, but it does leave me with an odd sense of satisfaction.
So how would you have made it better?
Well, personally I'd start with that gameplay loop. Maybe by making a more diverse gun pickup system beyond just 5 power-ups where only one really matters, gameplay could become more interesting. If we're entirely out of cannon, we could do things like shrink rays or weapons that specifically target the person with the most health. Second off, I'd have AI that not only attacks me as a player, but also each other. By having AI only really attack you, there's rarely a time where it'd be strategic to stay behind and wait out the battle. But by making AI attack each other, there's an opportunity to gang up on the tougher characters, already incorporating a strategy that isn't present in the game's current state. Next, I would get rid of those fucking refill stations. This is a battle to the death that should be short and fast-paced. Instead, maybe have a randomly occurring power-up that gives you health and energy back. Second, let's just have fire and alt fire. Maybe have 4 fire buttons, 2 for your main gun and 2 for your power-up that you have. This gets rid of the charging up your weapons. Yeah, sure, that feels like a very Star Wars-y thing, but it extends that gameplay loop. I would also like to have some form of tactile damage. I mean, aren't we calling it Demolition because it's supposed to be like a demolition derby? So if I fly across the map and slam into somebody, why does it do little to no damage? That seems a little lame, right? Finally, I would either commit to a story or get rid of it altogether. Don't give me tauntaun bits, some water, and a Meiluron and tell me it's fucking tauntaun stew. It's not. We have some of the ingredients needed to make tauntaun stew, but it sure as hell ain't finished. This is why you lost the Coruscant Intergalactic Bake Off last year, Galen. Your Life Day Banquet has always sucked, Galen. You're an embarrassment, Galen. God! Sorry, I digress. We have the start of a story that may not be interesting, but at least explains what's going on, so why don't we have at least an attempt to use it instead of letting it go to waste?
I'd say that's pretty much the gist of what I'd change.
What are you telling me for?
What? Oh, shit.
Hello?
Yeah, I just got your review copy of Star Wars Demolition, and I figured I'd give you some of my thoughts.
Star Wars Demolition? That came out in what, 2000? Trust me, we're not worried about any of those reviews about that anymore.
But it's retro.
Yeah, you must have got a copy meant for that LucasArts fan magazine. No, that guy died in Y2K. And besides, what makes you think we'd send it to you?
I mean, we do have over 100 subscribers.
100 subscribers? I've got at least 250 on that channel that I made accidentally.
So, this is the finished version then?
Yeah.
I guess you guys really fucked this one up, didn't you?
Tell me something I don't know, kid.
You know, all in all, I'd be hard-pressed to recommend Star Wars Demolition. It has some seriously glaring gameplay issues, minimal story, and just isn't very good to look at. But it's charming. It's like a less polished Episode 1 racer, an artifact from a simpler time where we got 7 of these a year. And this one might not be good, but goddammit, it was some Star Wars, which is what's important. LucasArts was doing so much at this time, and while it isn't great, it's a reminder of how wonderful of a publisher and developer they were. They could take risks like this, and real-time strategies, and Grand Theft Auto clones, and point and clicks about puppet detectives or fucking tentacles, and maybe some of them wouldn't pay off, but the ones that did, really did. And while they are certainly missed, it's nice to see offshoots and former partners like Double Fine, Telltale, and BioWare doing so well, still trying to be a little different. Give this one a play, or don't. It's an interesting look at what Star Wars games used to be and what LucasArts used to do, but it really doesn't do enough to be taken seriously. If you found it for cheap somewhere, or the former resident of your house gets it as a review copy in the mail, then yeah, I'd say give it a try.